Guys, thank you so much for inviting us. And when I read the subject, good to great, it reminded me of a very famous book written by Jim Collins. And he wrote it 20 years back. He speaks about a hedgehog where he knows everything what's happening. He talks about a bus where you put in the best team possible and you have a level 5 sort of a leadership which is there. In today's time, we talk about a lot of startups who have raised a lot of capital, and it's very easy to spend money. But here we have founders who have raised very little capital, or some of them actually have raised no capital, but have really created a business out of it. So we want to understand, one, how they did it, and two is probably go down to the basics, that what happened on day zero. So I would like to pull in, Sneha first. And Sneha, if you can talk about what happened on day zero with your ideation. You thought about a product. What happened on that day? And what steps did you guys take after that?
One of our very strong points is the product, because that creates a very loyal customers even today. So our first product is called Dream, Believe, Create. It's a very simple problem that we tried to solve. Our founder, who was actually questioning the purpose of his life, where after reading so many personality development books and leadership books, all those remind us gyan and nothing we could actually bring to existence. So we took out the best practices from different books and we made it as a simple layout, which actually helped us. We thought, okay, it's going to help a lot of people. And that's how we got the product tested, launched, pivoted. And from that, even today, it's one of our best sellers. So that was the day one where you solve your own problem. From 0 to 1, that actually works. From 1 to 10, that doesn't work. Like you believe if it is not going to help you, you believe it's not going to help other people. But that's not true when you want to scale. But during our initial times, that was actually a huge game changer for us.
Abishek, just to pull you in, you're creating a very personal product. Something which is going to be so close to the skin. And probably nobody could externally see it, but the brand ambassador is the guy who's going to wear it or she's going to wear it. Can you just share what happened on day zero?
I think for us, it was, at least for me, it was realizing that even my friends, we're also in the manufacturing business, especially with underwear, and was realizing that even my friends who make underwear for big brands, didn't want to wear that underwear and went abroad to buy underwear. So I think that was the main kind of turning point for us, at least for me, in realizing that there's a big gap even in perceived quality of Indian-made underwear. And the second was, I would say, a general realization that most people were wearing uncomfortable underwear. So I think these two things was the main turning point in terms of us realizing, okay, this is a space, there's a lot of potential, and we were qualified to make some changes there.
Great. Binal, you said that you had a need. Your husband had a need on day zero. And you thought that itna ban raha hai to hum bhi bana sakte hai.
Yeah, I mean, we launched the business because we wanted the product. The first product that we ever launched was a laptop decal. We wanted it for our own laptops. We ordered it from Amazon.com, but the product cost was, say, $10. The shipping cost was $20. The Gujarati in us was like, listen, I'm not paying more for the shipping charges, no way. We literally Googled how to make a decal, and the machine which would make it was coming out to be around 5,000 to 6,000 bucks. So we were like, let's do it, and if it looks good, we could ask our friends also to buy from us. We were like, on day zero, we were like, okay, we want to give it to our friends, let's name it something, right? So we were like, we are making your MacBook mesmerizing. So that's how Macmerise came into picture. Like, it took us 24 hours to just think of the name. Down the line, of course, now we do around 100 laptop models, 100 phone models, but somehow we want to stay true to why we started and how silly it could be, like, the brand name, but it's really close to our hearts. So yeah, we've still kept it.
Amazing. So Rishabh, for you, like, was it a family business which you joined, or you thought that my bed is not comfortable, let's make one?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
My career has been in everything else but retail and product. I started in management consulting, moved into impact investing, B2B tech startup, and the common thread, I think, with all this was to create impact wherever I go, right? And I saw, and Freedom Tree didn't really have a day zero. It was originally a design studio, a consulting and trend studio that evolved into a studio shop and then kind of grew organically from that. And it was at sort of day one that I saw this opportunity to take it to day 10 by bringing in a merchandising team, a marketing team, thinking about the customer life cycle. But I think from whether or not it was explicit, from day zero, we started with this need that there is room for a design-led brand, a contemporary kind of aesthetic in India for home. Color, bold print, and a relaxed home, right? You can get very expensive imports. You can get very Indian design here. But where is the room for something that celebrates India but remains modern, right? So we were talking backstage about really understanding your audience and why they are coming to you is the starting point, whether explicit or implicit in any journey.
So you have reached that first point where you now exactly know what you want to make. You go about making it. And then the most difficult thing hits you is that, like, okay, how am I going to get the first 100 customers are easy, right? Friends, family, kisi ko bhi aap chipka do. After that, you need to go out to the world and you say, okay, we need more people, more genuine people to look at. And either it is your own website, either it is your own app, or it is your partner's website where you're showcasing yourself. What did you think on day one? That, okay, I have a product, I have a website. So did you guys make the website in-house? Or you thought, okay, let's be a little smarter. There are a lot of guys giving you services outside. I don't need to spend so much. How did you do it, Rishabh, to start with? You have a very complex product. You have too many moving parts.
So like I was saying, we started more like a studio shop. The design studio was upstairs. We started designing product and make sure whatever you ordered kind of sold out through the store below, right? And then a year or two later, we opened an online presence, then another store, then another store. So again, our particular journey was organic, but I think the strategy that kind of emerged is, for us and for our customer, you have to be omni-channel. We need to be there for the working mom at 11 at night after she puts her kids to sleep to be able to make a purchase online, for the family who wants to go with nani and auntie to the neighborhood furnishing store and actually spend a few hours there, make a family decision. So we knew we needed those infinite kind of touch points wherever the customer was. We also realized pretty quickly we need to control that touch point, right? So and I'm curious about you guys and your experience with the third party approach to distribution, right? The D2B2C or whatever approach. That has not been the core of our strategy, and I'm sure we'll talk more about a website.
Yes.
The website is key to that, has been, frankly, key to our survival through COVID when things were closed. Also the key to us reaching cities that, we weren't ready to expend the capital to create an anchor store or create a physical presence. But they have to be connected because we know people are discovering the brand on Instagram and online. They're walking into the store to make purchases and vice versa. They're seeing, that basically what is a very expensive billboard on a main road in Indranagar, then going home and checking it out online. So, have to create this omni-channel ecosystem, at least in our case. And it just makes the customer lifetime stronger because we're all about the repeat customer and that share of wallet.
Abishek, how did you do this? Because you have a very personal website. How did you?
We did do it in-house in the sense that we hired somebody to work for us and build it because we wanted to build it from the ground up, and we had very specific, we don't use Shopify or any of those platforms. We have a Ruby on Rails platform called Spree-commerce that we use. In fact, a lot of people that I've met here, no one really has heard of Spree-commerce. In fact, now I'm wondering if it was the right decision in the first place. But at that time, we needed a lot of customization, especially with regards to size and how people shopped underwear. And we also wanted to build it as a learning tool for us to help evolve our own product. So for these reasons, I think, is why we went with an in-house strategy. But I think a Shopify strategy really works, largely for any D2C brand. It's just that our needs required that level of customization, which is the approach we took.
Got it. Binal, you use Shopify. Can you share your experience, and now you're thinking of migrating to some other platform?
Sure. I mean, when we started day one, it was Zeppo. Because people who were seeing the products were like, where can I buy one? Can you make it for my model? And also we were sure we wanted to launch it ASAP. So Zeppo was a very friendly tool to use. And I think for the first 1.5 year, we were on Zeppo. And it was really helpful also in terms of launching more and more products. Also me and my husband, we were not from the tech background, right? So we were from the marketing background. So we were like, it makes sense, less of a hassle, and we didn't have to dive deep into the know-how before launching the product. So I think it was very gradual for us. From Zeppo, we moved to Shopify. In Shopify also, you start with the base profile that is available, and then you up it, and you buy more and more features and plug in with your existing website. We followed that, and it worked wonders for us. I mean, it's not always necessary that you exactly know how your website should look like. But we made changes along the way, we learned along the way, and now that we know that customization across all our products, because we dictate our manufacturing and printing, we were like, it's key, and the same has to be communicated to the end consumer. So that's when now we are moving to .NET, and we'll have that customization plugin. But when we started out, it was all these third-party tools that we used, and we're very happy with it in our journey.
Sneha, coming to you, this brings me to the next thought of a great website should have great UI, UX. The customer should feel that he or she is looking at the right product. The restaurant should talk to him or her. How are you guys building that?
So if I have to answer your question in two ways, we did start out with a website. We started with our MVP, we started with our Amazon. For solid 3 years, we did solely in Amazon, because as a solopreneur, Amazon took care of everything, and we just got the product to the warehouse. So only when we started to scale the brand, so as Positive Store, we wanted to create a lifestyle brand of positivity, who stands for that focus word, saying, we are positive and we are so good in what we do. So when we started to do that, we expanded our product ranges. So right now we are into hoodies, mugs, posters, canvas. So when we started to do that, we wanted to be more customizable. So that's how we moved to Shopify, and we did everything in-house. And it was not an easy journey for sure. Definitely when you're scaling and you're really doubting yourself in the process, but somehow you'll figure it out. And Shopify was a great support for us, and that helped us to build the trust and got us to build that community with the Positive Store.
Got it. I think what I realized after listening to all of you guys, that you're not targeting the masses. All of you are in some way targeting a niche part of society and saying, okay, this is my target audience. Over a period of time, they will definitely increase, with time and more awareness what's coming in. Abishek, there were so many, undergarment brands which are there available. Tons of them are listed. A lot of them are unlisted. Everybody who has a logo now comes out with an undergarment brand. How do you create traction? Like on day zero, you have a website, you have a product. How do you get that traffic? Did you use influencers? You were on Insta, you spoke to communities, you built, small communities to start using them. What did you do?
I think for us, it was a realization that the kind of people that we were looking at every day, we weren't seeing in underwear, and we weren't seeing in underwear ads. So the second we knew that that was the approach that we had to take, the rest of the things became clear. For example, as soon as we invited community, just people on our Instagram and friends of friends to participate in our shoots, they automatically became influencers for the brand, and generally influencers online. And a lot of them have gone on to do a lot of modeling beyond Tailor and Circus and beyond underwear as well. So I think that was the first step in terms of how we reach people. The people that we put in our ads, they spread the word for us.
Got it. And post that, so you're getting organic traffic, right? But if you want, your ARR to be $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, you need the masses. You need Instagram. You need influencers. How has your experience been? Has it really helped you guys? And how do you spend money on that? Because you're bootstrapped. You didn't have capital on that day.
Yeah, that's true. One of the things, at least, I don't know if it was mislearning in some sense, but at least when I first heard the term D2C, my understanding was that you actually do cut out an Amazon and you do cut out a Flipkart and you get to the customer directly. So from the beginning when we said, okay, we want to build a D2C brand, I mean, we just got on Amazon last month. First 2 years of business, we were only doing our own website. So we used our own channels because we thought that's what we were supposed to do, and that's how you get value to the customer. That's how you really bring the cost down in terms of what a customer is paying for premium underwear. So I think largely all the targeting, all the reach that we did was for our own website. We did use Instagram, but very, very little of it was performance and paid spending, at least in the beginning. It was actually organic in terms of how we scaled and how we got 100,000, 10,000. All those customers happened actually quite organically.
So in the hindsight, do you think that if you probably went a year back on Amazon, your numbers would have looked much different?
Yeah, for sure. Positively, for sure. I think so. But the thing is, in fact, a lot of the interactions I'm having even at this conference, I'm realizing where D2C is headed is you use Amazon to reach the customer and then ultimately you want to convert them on your own website. Fortunately for us, we did that first, So I think a lot of our customers now, when they encounter the brand on marketplaces, they encounter a brand on Amazon or Flipkart or Myntra, they already know what we do and they already trust us. And I think that's going to add value as we expand into the marketplaces in terms of how quickly we're going to be able to solidify our position there. I think it's going to be a lot faster than if we had started there in the first place.
Got it. Rishabh, you're selling a very expensive product. Like, this is a lifestyle decision somebody needs to take. They might even have to borrow for that, right? When I see something costing ₹1 lakh or ₹2 lakh online, if I don't have trust, I'm never going to buy it. There are a lot of guys who are already all over the town, opening shops, online, offline, everything. How do you make your space in this?
Yeah, and one of the keys for us, is having an offline presence in this case. All the big furniture brands discovered this, Pepperfry, Urban Ladder. They realized they needed to build an offline footprint to complement, to provide that touch and feel, that legitimacy when you're selling an expensive product, right? Ultimately, customer, that some part of their brain is thinking, if something gets screwed up, I have a place to go and someone to yell at. That's what the customer really needs to be confident in when you're spending that kind of money. That being said though, it is a long, slow ramp to spending 1 lakh or plus with us. We have stuff like ceramics and cushions that start at merely hundreds of rupees. And in fact, we see the life cycle of our customer not as a demographic or an age type, but a type of person who goes through different stages in life. From that college grad who just wants to pick up a mug or two, to that first-time homemaker who then will pick up a bedding set or some furnishings, then do some curtains, and then only when they can afford it, start buying the hardwood furniture. So it's actually a long, slow process of becoming that inevitable Freedom Tree fan, and they'll come back over years, and that's how I build my business case for acquisition, right? So yes, they'll walk into the store, I'll acquire a customer from there, but then they're in my ecosystem, they'll be getting my mailers, they'll be following me on Instagram. And there was one point that I think was made earlier that's really important to emphasize is, once you've got that organic virtual cycle, right? Once you know where your core customer is coming, how to convert them relatively cheaply, whether you're paying for it through a store or through a referral marketing or just being there where you need to be, then you talk about adding fuel to this fire, right? Okay, let me go to Amazon, let me go and start dumping Facebook ad money into this, let me go to bigger and bigger influencers if that works for me. But if that, I mean, I guess in tech they call it product market fit, but in retail it's every moment of that experience, not just the product, but the entire experience of buying it and feeling good about it later. Once you've got that, then you'll find your traction channel. And there's no shortage as we've seen here.
Binal, you probably have a problem of a look-alike. A lot of people are trying to copy you. Or a lot of people are trying to import products from China and saying they look like you. How do you stand out?
I think initially when we were like really small and nobody knew about us, we relied heavily on our collaborations to, spread word for us. Like, I think we were 23 or 24 years of age, and we wanted to have the license for Disney for phone cases in India. There was nobody in India. There was no India wing handling licensing for consumer electronics. We went to the Disney US website. वो contact us में email होता है ना. We literally just wrote an email on that, and we were like, listen, we want to make official licensed Disney phone cases. How do we go about it? And very nicely they responded. On the contrary, we feel they would not respond. They connected us to the person, and the person told us, listen, nobody's come to us for this particular requirement. I was like, great, I mean, we are the first ones to do it, so let's go ahead and do it. So initially, when we didn't have like deeper pockets, we relied heavily on getting associated with these famous properties to kind of push our product and kind of push our designs. We just didn't, and in that, of course, now a lot of people have Disney licenses. The idea then was to go into various categories. Now we have Royal Challengers Bangalore from IPL. We tied up with fashion designers. And all of this has been organic. We have Mr. Amitabh Bachchan on board for whom we make celebrity merchandise in India. None of them we know directly. The idea is to then package your design and product in a way that even if you are not big at a particular stage, you tie up with these people who then, in their vested interest, promote your product also because you're carrying their designs. So yeah, that was our strategy, and that really worked for us. And till date, we try and just push that boundary and see that if there's a particular space where nobody's entered, we might just try and do that.
Great. Sneha, you're building content-led marketing strategies. Content is king. It really makes you stand out from what you're trying to sell. And you're selling the message of positivity to the whole audience. That's a difficult task. That you have to, like, everybody knows, let's be positive, but I don't know how many of us are actually positive. Just throw some light on that.
Sure, because one of the very clear things that I was able to easily fall in love with building this brand was when there are so many brands out there who are proudly spreading negativity, selling toxic stuff. We were like, let's do something good, That was honestly one of the very powerful things. We were able to attract genuine people and really good people who believed in the mission. And one of the biggest thing is that a lot of our messages, a lot of our customer messages, even after a long day, when they see something good, which can bring hope, which can bring some positivity into their life, we were very happy to be part of their lives. And that is how we have been so far. And in terms of marketing, influencers, we didn't want to randomly take influencers who had, if you just go to their influencers Instagram page, we didn't want to, like, no offense to any influencer, it's just that we didn't want to take an influencer who can promote any random brand, but someone who lives by that, and someone who has a loyal tribe who follows their good work, who can actually spread that positivity. So those are the kind of people who do not directly influence products, but who influence a lifestyle. So those were the people who actually helped us a long way in this journey.
Abishek, when I went through a website, I saw, traction on the LGBTQ community, and, you guys are very focused on that. That's part of your ecosystem, and that inclusiveness is very really appreciated, And obviously you drive content around it, saying that all of us are same. Throw some light on that.
Not just with regards to, the LGBTQI community, but generally when we started as well, I remember one of the early conversations we had with somebody who we were hoping would be an industry mentor for us. He said, nobody wants underwear for ugly people. So that stuck with me, because I realized that that was actually how people perceived anybody who didn't look like an underwear model as ugly, which is so, I think a lot of that extended into other areas, which is this community, or any community, for example, that we represent, was just an extension of realizing just who was really being neglected, and which was the overwhelming majority anyway. So when we knew that that's what we wanted to do, that we wanted the representation to be something that focused on everyone else except your traditional underwear model, then all these communities opened up and all these channels opened up, and it was very obvious in terms of what we had to do. So I think that's basically how it happened, quite naturally in that sense.
Fantastic. Moving on, I think we often hear of search words, and people actually never talk about it. And that's the magic recipe, because Google works in a certain fashion. How do you unlock that, Rishabh? How are you unlocking? Like, moment I put furniture, there are some infinite number of websites which will open. How do you optimize that?
So I don't have the details of our specific SEO strategy, but you've got to do it, right? We have a long tail of products. We're in multiple categories. It's why we chose Shopify, because it's optimized to that kind of catalog. We have an agency that does it. Our internal digital marketing head project manages them through all the things they need to do. For me, you cannot spend too much on your paid channels like Facebook and Google unless you've got a strong enough growth in SEO, because the whole thing will get unbalanced eventually, right? Because paid traffic is, no insult to paid traffic, it's junk traffic, right? There's diamonds in the rough, and compared to organic and intentional search traffic, there's no comparison, right? So you need both. This takes time. Facebook and ads give you an illusion that you have control. I think it's no way to build a long-term marketing engine. The only way to build a long-term marketing engine is through brand equity and brand value, right? Because tomorrow, like all of you guys who may have been using Facebook last year would have noticed the ROIs went crazy because suddenly you couldn't track people on iPhones, right? So putting aside the morals of the privacy issue and all, these platforms are flashes in the pan. Today, Instagram might be one of my main kind of brand awareness and strongest converting acquisition channel. But I need to have my fingers in the influencer pie or the paid channel pie. I've got to keep spending on SEO. And you need to constantly tweak that and monitor that and build the capabilities in your team to go out and find new channels, dial back. If this year Google Ads is going to do better than Facebook ads, you need to pivot the organization, because what you need to build is not necessarily tech capability, but a strong team of marketeers. We have a really strong team of creative communicators, because our equity in our brand is built visually and through the storytelling. And then really strong operators. You asked me earlier, how do you get people to buy 1 lakh, 2 lakhs of furniture online, sight unseen? It's because about 30% of our furniture sales online happen at the last mile on the phone, right? So that comfort that, hey, I'm talking to Samir is advising me, honestly telling me, hey, you can't get this in 6 weeks, I can get it to you in 8 weeks. That level of touch and trust, and every organization is going to be different, right? It may not make sense to sell T-shirts consultatively on the phone, ever, right? So you need to figure that funnel out for yourself, basically.
Binal, you're selling a product which is not a necessity. Like, I can live without it. The moment I see it, I say, wow, that's cool. I would also want to. It's more aspirational moment to see it. Is it pull? How are you guys? Is it push, pull? What are you guys thinking?
It's definitely a pull. Out of all the gadgets that you buy, there are approximately 5 to 8 accessories that you buy along with the gadget. What has changed over the years is how we position our product is as a fashion accessory. Today, if I'm just sitting here, my phone case is just lying there, I would be intrigued to see what's there on my phone case. Likewise for my laptop. So we try and position our gadget accessories as something through which you can, in a way, showcase your personality. That's why we have collaborators who, in a way, try and provide that for us as well. So definitely, it's like I think on Flipkart, after phones, the most sold categories in accessories is phone cases. So there's definitely a pull strategy in terms of the products that we do. Having said that, yes, to differentiate between the thousands of designs that are there, how to, there is of course a lot of fake products that are available. I'm sitting with a license, but how do I compete with somebody who's selling a product at the station? Those are the struggles that you face as an entrepreneur. But if you're clear in terms of which is the path that you want to take, you will kind of cross that hurdles. In the formative years of our life, we used to actually send these links to Disney that, listen, that's a fake product, and all of that. Later down the line, we realized we have to internalize and we just have to focus on what we are giving different at a very good price point. The reason why we control manufacturing and printing in-house is because we can dictate that. And that somehow became our differentiation factor. Now, Today, I don't have to worry about inventory because my whole business model is around just-in-time printing. So what started as an option because of limited cash has now become my most strongest, business model. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's a pull strategy, and how we try and push it is through our collaborations.
I think the next point which you brought out, actually, I take it from there, is supply chain. And all of you have completely different products which you sell. And Sneha, how do you manage your supply chain? Because, a bad product sold hard will die faster, right?
Absolutely.
So, and you have to keep pivoting yourself continuously. And you keep looking at competition, because today's novelty is commodity 6 months down the line. How do you innovate? Like, innovation and supply chain, how is it linked in your mind?
Honestly, we have not faced that supply chain issue so far because most of us are already through Amazon warehouses. So we have not reached that point where we are facing supply chain issues. But we do have an in-house supply chain flow where the person packs it, ensures the logistics picks it up. Luckily, we did have a lot of issues with the logistics, but slowly we had to make a system, create an escalation system. But still, I don't think that is an issue for us yet. We are more into the scaling phase where we are into product range growth. Supply chain is probably our least of our concern right now.
Got it. Abishek, you are fully back-end integrated. You have a manufacturing setup. You might outsource a bit of it to somebody as you grow. What's your thought process around it?
Well, in the sense that we do our own manufacturing, but we still import this yarn and we use another mill to spin it to our specific mix. So in that sense, I think in the beginning when we started, we wanted to control all aspects of the manufacturing. Part of it was quality, part of it was inventory, part of it was just, it was easier, and it was actually an option for us because my co-founder does manufacture underwear for international brands. So all of this was a sweet spot, but over time we've realized that you don't really need to control all aspects of manufacturing because you can't. And you can't really scale if you're going to try and want to make everything yourself. So it's okay to outsource, and it's okay to outsource a lot, even the majority, or even all of it. But the important thing, I think, is to be stringent in terms of the quality that you expect from these suppliers, and also to be prepared for disruptions like we had with COVID. Like we didn't get yarn in time. There was a big sudden shift from a lot of big brands like Jockey, for example, into micromodal. So that really disrupted the supply of the yarn itself in the mill. So all of these things are things I think you should prepare for and ensure yourself, and maybe overstock. That's what it takes. But otherwise, I think control is not so important, would be the learning now.
Got it. Rishabh, you have an extremely long supply chain, and with too many SKUs all over the world.
And it's sort of how we were set up, right? So we don't really manufacture in-house. As a design brand, our capabilities invested in our design team, our communications, and our distribution channels, which have to be amazing experiences, whether they're digital or not. That being said, supply chain is the one thing that keeps me up at night, because we have no control over it, right? And in COVID, we saw it, whether it was this pigment from China that wasn't arriving to the printers for a year and a half, which meant all the printing in Bombay at an artisanal scale is shut down. Our exporters can't use oxygen because it's all moved into emergency use, so no metal is happening for the next 8 months, thank you very much, right? So, but it's in our DNA, it's sort of the story, because we want to work with the skills, the techniques, the materials that exist in India and celebrate the Indian craft techniques and materials and bring them into sort of a modern avatar, right? So if I want to experiment with a new material like colored rope weaves next year, and I have a factory that's only tooled towards teak wood furniture, I'm shit out of luck, right? So I need to keep moving with the trend and grab more and more suppliers and work with them. Upskill them, convince them, hey, don't do this traditional jari work you've been doing. Let me show you a more modern abstract look. And by the way, if you turn around and sell 300 units of these to Crate and Barrel in the US, go for it, right? Because I'm getting unique design at low quantities that my boutique customer wants. So, but it was a nightmare in COVID. Touchwood as a home brand, we didn't have a demand problem during COVID. We just had a problem getting product, getting it to the customer, and then with furniture you have this extra wonderful surprise at the end, which is after sales support, right? Because our roads are terrible, things break in transport, it's very expensive to reverse ship stuff. So that's where we face trouble downstream, but upstream it's everywhere you look a problem. So yeah.
We just crossed 1st April and you would have probably drawn your plans for this year, I want to have 5 million ARR, whatever you want to have. As a percentage of sales, you would have thought how much money I'm going to spend on sales and marketing and branding. How does those percentages look generally? Each one of you can take time to answer that. And what kind of breakup it is. You don't need to give me the actual number, but the percentages and what's your thought process behind that?
Like I said, for solid, right till last month, we were completely into planners and journals. And being a seasonal products, during the season 5 months, our marketing figures used to cross like 40%, but the volumes were huge, so we were okay. But right now, from this month, since our product ranges are different and we are getting to different lifestyle products, we are trying to experiment, try to say, okay, let's push our marketing budgets and try to bring a lot of organic and pushed sales. And through this, we'll be able to bring down the cost. So right now, we are aiming at like 30-35%. But down the line, when we are able to create the organic sales and the community, that is the long run game. But being planners, the numbers were completely different.
Got it. Binal, how about you?
Like she said, so consumer electronics is something which is our strength. So we have a set audience for that. Of course, we've launched apparels. So there will be around 40 to 45% allocated towards marketing. However, for me, marketing is more about content creating. Like this year, our focus is to create the kind of content which in a way resonates. We always forget that marketing is all about awareness, interest, desire, and action. After the social media and paid advertising, a lot of focus is on just, I see an ad, I buy it instantly. I might just not be loyal to the brand, I might just switch over. The idea is to work a lot on the awareness bit of it. Tell them our story, tell them how our products are different, tell them who started it, tell them how we changed along the way. And the idea is to spend, because all businesses have to be publishing businesses now, because you're fighting with the consumers, you want your consumers to know about you, and the competition is very tight, more so after COVID. Initially, I used to supply to Hamleys. They used to sell our headphones. They were predominantly retail. After COVID, now they're online. So you're fighting with giants. So you are, of course, not beating them in terms of paid advertising. How are you beating them is through awareness and how you are different and how you are authentic in terms of your design and your purpose. So I think a lot of our strategies would be around identifying that, how can we do that? And not a lot of gyan, but just simple, a blog. Even if you write a blog in-house, you can use that particular blog through various channels of content. It could be an Instagram post, it could be something on Quora. So the idea is to do simple things, but work a lot on the top of the funnel and create more awareness. That's the plan.
Rishabh, how about you? Your competitors have raised a lot of capital.
Yeah, so the way we try and run our business is on a break-even level, excluding anything that we are investing in growth. So the marketing spend, the direct out-of-pocket marketing spend, and CapEx for channel expansion, right? So if I can run the business break even and say, hey, this is all fueling growth, and I've got a good flywheel of once acquired, good customer lifetime, that's kind of the financial business case for us right now. We do spend quite a bit on paid ads. I would say overall paid ads and other kind of paid advertising, content placement, events and things is about 10 to 15% of top line. Remember, we have very expensive product costs, so it might seem modest, but it's enough to generate a lot of interest in eyeballs. There's the hidden cost for us actually is not in this 10 to 15%, it's in the people and professionals we have in-house, communicating, creating collateral, writing content, working with brands, influencers to create those kinds of pathways. That's where a lot more investment, I think, goes, because to get authentic marketing, which we all agree is the best, you don't actually need to spend money, right? Like even when we do go to a paid influencer, we prioritize the ones who are already buying from us, right? So they're, they're predisposed to giving us a deal or saying, hey, I'll do this for free, right? And that's where you get ROI, not spending, when someone who has 1 million followers is doing something for free and in a genuine way.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we think about that.
Got it. Abhishek, how about you?
I think for us, when we started, we were looking at an ROAS of about 1 to 1.5, and we felt that it was okay. Now we're shooting much higher, 6 to 7. So, and we also realized that you have to have different marketing budgets and strategies for different categories, because we do a lot of different groups. So I think now we have a more streamlined approach to marketing spends, where it's variable depending on what category and what kind of target customer we're looking at and how much lifetime value they're going to generate for us, which is different for, say, something like a maternity bra that we sell versus a brief. So learning that and understanding that and how to make those splits has given us a variable marketing budget for different categories. But overall, I think the number that 30 to 35% is good.
So I think I'll ask my last question, which I usually ask all my startup clients, is some of you have raised very little capital. Few of you have not raised capital. What is the right time in your mind? When are you ready to raise that capital? Like, we can start with Binal. You have just raised some capital.
Okay, so we started in 2013. We raised our proper pre-series round in 2022. So you have to understand that a lot of time these days it's a fad to raise capital. I mean, if you are in the business for the wrong reasons, just to get that kind of valuation or just to raise capital, it's easy sometimes. Honestly, it's easy to raise capital nowadays. So if you're in the wrong reason for the business, then it might fall down on you. We raised it because we are now sure that we are in a way pivoting. As I said, we are creating our own website. We, in few years down the line, are making a tech platform wherein any influencer, any brand who wants to now sell products that we manufacture can just come on board and launch their collection. So that's the route that we were taking, and for that we wanted capital, and that's the only reason why we've raised capital, because there was a plan in terms of what we want to do it ahead. Otherwise, I mean, less stress. I mean, if you are happy the way you're doing business and it gives you happiness, I mean, just do your thing. I mean, yeah, that's what I would like to say.
Sneha, are you happy not raising capital?
Definitely happy, because in spite of being bootstrapped, we were running in cash flow negative solid first 2 years. And then we understood our unit economics, figured out the whole thing, reinvented the whole thing. And then when we became debt free and cash flow positive, now we are much more peaceful. So now we are trying to understand, okay, first let's get to where we want to be and then figure out, okay, do we really want to raise capital or not? But for the kind of expansion plans we have, definitely in long term, but right now we don't have that figure in mind.
Got it. Abhishek, you have raised little capital, and your category...
Some in the beginning.
Yes, and your category will need more if you need to reach a larger audience.
Yeah, it's true. I think, I mean, to add on to what Binal was saying, I think the right time is when you know how to spend all of it, and it's good to have some cash in the bank for sure.
Yeah.
But regardless, when you have a very clear need that is also pressing, and it's also clear in terms of all the different ways you're going to deploy that capital, I think that would be the perfect time to go raise, because it's also, I think, easier to get that capital and easier to convince people to give you that money when you know exactly how you're going to spend it. And so we're waiting for that moment, which has not happened yet.
Rishabh, do you know how to spend 100 crores?
No idea. No idea. And, as a former investor, I can proudly say, happy to not yet have raised a ton of capital, because I think it's all what these guys are saying, right? No point unless you know exactly what you're going to do with it. And the second really important point is raise it as late as possible, so your valuation is as high as possible, so that your control is as high as possible until the very last minute. Right? And especially if you're trying to build a brand, and the numbers are very clear, right? And again, having built these financial models and created the high case scenario and the medium case, and seeing all that, the logic of post-investment is growth.
Sure.
Right? The entire, and for people who are trying to build brand, try to build long-term equity, it really is a scary thing to me that it'll skew me in the wrong direction. So I'm not saying we don't want to give up the company to lose control. It's control allows us to keep on the path we know will be good for this brand long term, which is not a go and land grab strategy. Don't open 20 stores, open 3 a year and make sure your customers are returning at 70, 80% rates.
Got
right?
it.
And that doesn't happen when you've got an investor saying, no, 100% growth a year, 100% growth a year. So,
Got it. Makes
yeah.
sense. I think we're running short of time. We can take one question, if you have any. Great. I think we can discuss it offline then. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you.